Hello everyone, welcome back. Zargot here. Tonight, just doing a quick video. Wanted to kind of piggyback on the video from last night, the collection purchase, the modern collection. We're all sort of talking about, the process that I had with that seller and sort of highlighting the condition of the collection. A lot of the cards were damaged due to a specific style of shuffling that the gentleman had been using, the side shuffling style. And what that had done is, really depreciated the value of his cards, which is a bummer. Not the end of the world. The cards still maintain value, but not as much as they could have had just by using a different method of shuffling the cards when you're playing. But anyway, I hope that you're going to enjoy watching the video this evening. If you do enjoy watching the video, make sure to hit that like button. And if you're new to my channel and you'd like to see more of my videos, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with my box openings, my online drafts, and videos of this nature. So essentially what we were talking about last night is side shuffling. Side shuffling, I've got a deck here. It's just treasure tokens, so I'm not shuffling any money cards, anything crazy, so don't worry too much there. Essentially, you just take the deck, half and half, and you're gonna force it kind of like a bend here to shuffle together. Very similar. Basically, this is how you shuffle poker cards. You just take half and half, you just kind of pinch the cards, and they're gonna slide together. Some people even do the bridge, just exactly like in poker cards, which just absolutely kills me to watch. But that's besides the point. A little hard to see from that angle. So basically, you're taking the cards and you're pinching them like this and forcing them to mix together. So you can see just from what I'm doing there, this is what you're doing to your cards to pinch them to get them to shuffle. You're bending them. So these are treasure tokens I just took out of a box, not 5 minutes ago, and sleeved them up. So let's take a look and see what's going on here. Okay, so there you go. It's very slight, and I don't know if the camera's going to focus on this or not, but you can see just a very extremely minor bend. That's from shuffling these cards just 2-3 times. That's what is happening to your collection when you shuffle like this. Now, if you have a deck that you keep together, which when you're playing modern, you have a couple different modern decks. The variations don't really change very much. Sometimes you're switching a few cards out here and there when new standard sets comes out. But typically the core cards are going to remain the same. So cards like Fetch Lands, Shock Lands, Snapcapture Mages, Tarmogoyfs, all those different, sort of key cards stay the same in the deck. So they're going to be in these same sleeves, constantly getting this shuffle every time you go to, an FNM or a competitive event. And if you're playing 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 rounds, you're shuffling these cards a lot of times, just in one day. So you're causing significant damage. What happens is over time, from that shuffling, it bends the card. It continues to bend it. You create a weak point here. And this starts to fray, and it'll start to put white marks on the back of the card because the paper's starting to weaken, and eventually it will tear. The card will actually tear. Just before it tears, it's going to have a lot of white marks here, and it's going to look like creases almost. The card's essentially damaged at that point. So if you have a $50, $100 card, it's not going to be worth $50 or $100 anymore. It's going to be worth, $30, $35, if that, just depending on how bad it is. And that's just this crease right here. From shuffling like that, you're also beating on the sides, you're twisting the bottom, the middle's getting a crease in it. So there could be all other kinds of damage to the card happening just from that style of shuffling. So the style of shuffling I use and I recommend to most people is you take your deck, you're going to do the same thing, you're going to cut it in half, you're going to hold it very loosely, and you're just going to kind of drop it in. And this is splitting it, just right down the middle. Just slides right in real smooth. You're just letting gravity do the work here. You can kind of chop it a little bit, just to kind of diversify the cards a little bit more randomization. And it just slides right in. Real simple. Oop, okay, real simple there. So we're not bending any of the cards. All that does is it wears on the sleeves on the side, especially since most people shuffle in one particular fashion. Either with cards facing this direction or cards facing this direction. So you're going to wear on one side or the other. Not a problem. That's what sleeves are for. Sleeves are designed to protect the card. The sleeves wear out, the sleeves get damaged. You throw $3 sleeves, $4 sleeves in the trash, you put new sleeves on, your cards are protected. One thing to note though, that I like to mention to people is if you have a casual deck, the standard deck where your most expensive card is a Planeswalker that's $10 or $15, maybe you don't care about those cards as much. You obviously still want to sleeve them, you want to keep them protected. But if you have decks that have consistently $50, $60, $70, $80 cards in them, and then a modern deck or legacy decks, you want to go, I think, even a step farther. I recommend these guys right here. These are perfect fit sleeves. I actually ordered these on eBay. It's KMC. I mean, you can find these guys online. I think I got 1,000 for like $18. You just wait for them to go on sale, or wait for eBay to put some kind of coupon out, and you can get these things for a penny, penny and a half a piece, 2 pennies sometimes, and they last basically forever. Essentially, if you haven't seen these, you know, I've got a pack already open here. It's exactly what it says. It's a perfect fit sleeve. It's just a thin sleeve, just like your normal card. And what you'll do is you're going to put the card in upside down into the sleeve, and it is a perfect fit, so you have to be careful when you're sliding it in there. But once you get it in, now the card is perfectly sleeved. There's no room for it to slide around. It's not going to come out, right? So this card is now protected. It's perfect to go slice into binders, real simple. You're not going to take it out of the sleeve. Basically, once you put it in the perfect fit sleeve, it's going to stay in there until you're trading the card away. There's really no reason to take it out, aside from maybe if the sleeve gets dirty or damaged. But then what you do when you're playing, you're still going to put this sleeve inside of your deck sleeve. This is going to fit in here just fine. And the reason you sleeved it the opposite direction is so that the side that's open is going to go down into the sleeve here. And you'll see that fits right down into the sleeve. Now your card is very, very protected. So what's happening here is you have basically a perfect seal around this. You could almost spill liquids on this. Don't do it. I mean, they can still get under here, but this card is very, very protected. So if something happens and the sleeve tears, you've got this extra layer of protection under here. And one of the biggest things that happen to cards, if you have cards that you play a lot, like I'll keep going back to Snapcaster Mage. The reason I go back to that is because when I used to play with Snapcaster in Standard, it was in every deck. The Snapcaster Mage was just in every deck, because why wouldn't you put that in every deck? But anyway, so that card, let's say you don't have it in a perfect fit sleeve. So what happens is you're going to put your deck together, you're going to sleeve up all your cards, you know, you're sliding them in, you play your deck, you shuffle, you're done, you're taking the card out of the sleeve, right? And the next time you play it, you put it back in the sleeve, and you take it out of the sleeve. Well, every time you put a card in the sleeve, the edges of the card are scraping against the sides of the sleeve. And this is hard plastic, so it does start to wear on the cards, and that's how you'll get little tiny white nicks around the edge of the card. And it's no longer a matte card anymore. It's near matte or light play, depending on how damaged or how heavy the nick is. Another thing that happens is that the bottom of the card here, this is scraping against the sleeve while it's going in. It's going to scrape against the top here. And that's just what's going to happen. I mean, you can feel it when you're putting a card in the sleeve. You can feel it bumping and scraping against the sides. Now you do this 5, 10, 20, 100 times, depending on how many decks you build with that card, and you're putting, you know, significant wear and tear on this card. But with the perfect fit sleeve, you know, you get a new card, you pop it in the sleeve, it's in here. All the wear and tear and the damage is going onto the plastic outer sleeve. So you don't have to worry about that. Another thing, which is kind of tragic, I had an actual altered card. Didn't have it in a perfect fit sleeve. I had it in, I use Dragon Shield sleeves. I like these a lot. These are really, really durable, and they shuffle really, really easy. They cost a little more, you know, $6 to $10, just depending on where you buy them. I usually wait for them to go on sale on eBay, and you'll buy a couple boxes at once just to get them cheaper. But essentially what had happened was I had been playing with, you know, the sleeves for a while. What you do, you play with your sleeves, you wear them out. You're not going to throw them away after one use. And I was shuffling, and I drew my hand, and in my opening hand, one of my altered cards, the sleeve had torn right on the edge because I'd been using the sleeves for a long time. And when it tore, I had been shuffling my deck like this, you know, for 5 or 10 times at least, just to randomize it. And each time I shuffled, the sleeve had torn up the side, and the other cards were pushing down into this sleeve and scraping the paint off of the altered card and scraping the side of the card, and it was actually pretty heavily damaged just from being shuffled a couple of times. So that's when, and that's just from the normal shuffle that I recommended, you know, the soft, easy, just kind of ease it in there. Shuffling where, as opposed to, you know, that really difficult side shuffling where you're kind of mashing the cards, sort of crushing them in half to force them to mix. So that's why I kind of recommend these perfect fit sleeves, because then in the event, you know, your main sleeve, your primary defense tears or rips or something of that nature, you're still protected. This sleeve is on the card, you're good to go. And then also, you know, again, I mentioned it already, but this is incredibly easy to put in and out of your binder sleeves as well. Goes in easy, comes out easy, which is another way that you damage cards, sliding them into those thin plastic sleeves in your binder. You know, that you're scraping the side of the card as it enters if you're doing a side loader, or if you're doing a top loader, you're having to kind of, a lot of people just use the card to fish to get the card to go down into the top loader or into the page. And when you do, you're catching the bottom of the card and doing damage down here. Okay, Anyway, so again, those are called KMC Perfect Sleeves. You can get these super cheap. You can actually buy these at almost every LGS. They're probably $5.99 for 100, which is fine. If you're putting together your modern deck, or if you just want a perfect sleeve, a few cards in your collection that are $50 or $100 or all your $20 cards, whatever your preference is. But it's definitely a good line of defense. Anyway, that's all I really wanted to talk to everyone about tonight. Just kind of explain what I was discussing there, give people a better idea. Hopefully help some people protect themselves from damaging some of their their prized cards. Especially cards that you've actually purchased with your hard-earned money. But anyway, I hope that you enjoyed watching the video. If you did, please hit that like button. Let me know you enjoyed watching. And definitely hit that subscribe button so that you can stay up to date with any content I have. Do a lot of booster drafts and box openings, and from time to time do kind of videos like this, just kind of show collections and kind of talk about things that I see in my day-to-day process of buying and selling cards. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in our next video.